Gonna jump right along to our three pack. You know, finding deals on the MLS. We always maintain, and for our team, we spend a great deal of our time either looking for investment properties ourselves or looking for investment properties for our investments. And we pretty much say by the time it hits the MLS,
Yeah, it's over.
there's not a lot of meat on the bone. But it doesn't mean, because really the secret sauce is going and finding those off-market properties. But it doesn't mean that there aren't good deals still on the MLS if you know how to look and you know where to look. Or for primary buyers, there's some really good opportunities on the MLS. So I'm going to share a couple tricks and tips that I do. If you are representing a buyer, days on market is your best friend. The longer a house sits on the market, the more likely the seller will be more motivated to make a deal. And so when I'm going through this exercise, and I do it about once a week because I just want to see what's out there. I've got a list of investors that if I can find them a deal, they're ready to jump on it, or I might be ready to jump on it. But in this current market, so what I'll do is I will just, you can go down and add a field on your search, your MLS search criteria, agent days on market, and I'll start with a minimum of 150 days. And I'll just select some other criteria. Maybe I'm only looking in Maricopa County. Maybe I'm only looking at single family residences or whatever the case is. And I want to take a look at everything that's at least 150 days on the market. And I can start sifting through them, taking a look at them. Some of them you can go, well, that's why it's been on the market for 150 days. But depending on who the buyer is and what kind of opportunity they're looking for. And then if I don't see anything I like, then I maybe will, change the agent days on market to somewhere between 100 and 149 days. And I'll start there. I think it's a great opportunity, especially for buyers, who have got some cash to go in and do some rehab work and some remodeling, and you're a move-in ready home that you can just eat off the floors. Probably not been on the market for 150 days, but if you have some cash, your buyer has some cash, there's some really great opportunities, and then you can go and you can then aggressively submit an offer. And then I put point 3 below because on point 3, I'm going to go what my next step looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Days on market is a super indicator. I describe the days on market to you guys every single week when we do our statistics, and we do it by price range. Well, Mike's doing it by Main Street. He's going down into those more local markets that he knows that are conducive to the pricing strategy that his investors may have. And then putting that information in. Or maybe, as he also indicated, his potential buyers that are looking in those price ranges as well. There are always good deals out there. And, I hear agents say, it's just so hard to find. And I thought for a second, like, oh, let me tell you how to find them. And then I think again, and I'm like, well, of course it's hard to find. That's why you're not an investor, because you've got to put in that diligence and you have to understand the market at a totally different perspective than if you were really working with a consumer.
Yeah. So then the second thing I'll do, and Claudia, who just joined us, she's going to love this, is I also will go on the MLS. And like I said, for me personally as an investor, I'm not overly excited about the lender-owned opportunities or the short sale opportunities that are on the MLS because I think there's a lot more meat on the bone if you can find off-market opportunities and so forth. But especially for either first or second-time home buyers, what a lot of people don't understand is if it's a lender-owned or if it's a short sale, I think the myth is I've got to come to the table with cash. That is not accurate.
That's
you
correct.
can have now it's a longer process, but you can have a buyer that's qualified with one of our lenders and still make a play on short sales and so forth. So then on this one, what I do is going back to I pull up the MLS, do my quick search, go down and add field. And then you got this, you got the little menu bar, what you want to type in. I'm looking for special listing conditions, and I click that, and that pops up. And when you do the special listing conditions, then you'll see different things like lender-owned properties, REO properties, short sales, auction properties. Active adult communities. Sometimes we don't know how to figure out how to find active adult communities or remove active adult communities, and then I'll see what pops up in here, because I think for first and second time or even third time home buyers, I think these can be some great opportunities. Now, I'll let Claudia chime in, but when I'm looking at short sales, don't on any of these. Don't ever submit an offer without calling the agent and let them know that the offer is coming along, because oftentimes when you see the short sales, it'll say this is the bank approved price. Well, okay, it might be the bank approved price 3 months ago. Okay, may not be the current price that the bank's willing to do, and so I'll just go through them and see which ones I like, and then I'll have a conversation with that agent.
Yeah, it does take some homework. So, like you
Yes.
said, reaching out to that listing agent is really, really important to know what is going on. Not every short sale is the same. Some you have an authorized approval to participate, which means you do have an approved short sale up. Who buyers cannot. So that's going to be a huge benefit in negotiating terms if you know that a short sale could take up to 90 some odd days. Sometimes it's quicker. It really, really depends. I know you like to find the deals before they hit the market, and I appreciate that, but there's still a lot of deals to find. If you look at the notice of defaults on tax record, we're at probably 1550 in all of Arizona, and there's only 450 some odd listings in MLS that have either been coming soon or sold since December 31st. That's a lot of business out there. That's a lot of homeowners out there that are in distress, don't know where to turn. So if you don't have the questions or the answers to those questions or know what to ask, reach out to us so we can help you.
Yeah, if somebody has a pre-foreclosure notice deed that's already been attached to their property, that's a really good indicator that they probably have their head in the sand. And that they are having trouble even themselves knowing how to get out of it. So again, there's some off-market stuff too, but today we're talking about, MLS specifically. So I do like that. I leave that special listing conditions up all the time because
So do I.
it's just one of those things that, in fact, when I show you what the different numbers are for the distressed properties, that's where I'm getting it from.
Yeah. All right. Then the third one is before I pick up the phone, because I found one I'm working on right now. I was doing this exercise with one of my agents on Friday, and I'm like, all right, this one is actually good possible one. I can't get the agent to pick up the phone and have a conversation with me, so they're probably going to get a really low offer this afternoon. But that's on you. Okay. I'm trying to ask some questions here. And
But that's the thing. If they're not answering your call, they're not answering anyone's call.
Yeah.
so then I gotta just do. I don't have time. Your hundreds are going to pop up. I don't have time to put together a full CMA and so forth until I'm actually putting pen to paper. But these are some of the things that I'm gonna do. It'll take me 5 minutes just to figure out whether this is something that's even worth my time. I love just searching by subdivision. I wanna see what is, and I really honestly at this point right now in our market, I'm not as overly concerned about what's active, because if I'm flipping this, I need to know what's closed, and I want to see what that neighborhood looks like and what that list price and is there any meat on the bone. I want to take a look at the pictures. What am I possibly walking myself in there? I love going to Monsoon and clicking on Monsoon, clicking on comps and taking a look at there and taking a look at what properties are showing up there that are not showing up in the MLS, because these might not be properties listed in the MLS. I'm not, RPR is not the end all be all, but I like to see what properties RPR is pulling up that I might not be seeing. And then the same thing with Cloud CMA. And then I can just say, okay, is this even worth me driving and showing the property or walking the property, or is it time to go on? But I am telling you, I think I know why so many people, or there's houses that are going into foreclosure. I did this on Friday. I couldn't believe how many of them had frickin' solar leases.
I know.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Friends do not let friends buy solar.
That are on leases. Yeah, I totally agree with that comment. The big thing about searching by subdivisions is you can pick your subdivision, your market, based on the seasonality of what we're going through in the market. And you never pick like, for instance, when you're in the peak buying season for residential properties in our market, April through September, that's not the right time necessarily to be trying to get the bottom end all deal. There's a lot of people moving during those times. You go to the opposite when the market's really, or entering that really, really, really going into that slow market. Now, there's people that are distressed all year long. So to that, this doesn't make sense. But if you also go and you look, like right now, people are moving back home, going back out, leaving and going home, the snowbirds, the, second home-owned people. And you should see the market that has been flooded with those 55 active adult community properties. And then watch it for about 2 weeks and just set up that search so it keeps coming to you. They're now competing against each other by dropping their prices. And that's what they have to do this time. And then if it doesn't sell within the next 60 days, they've lost that market until next November when everybody's interested in coming back.
Yeah, and Claire, this is just really, at the end of the day, some people just say, hey, I want a really good deal on a home. And these are, okay, great. Yeah. And like I said, you don't have to be a cash buyer. You can be get a traditional mortgage on some of these opportunities, but this is where you can find some properties and have some opportunities to get your client into a property under market value.
Yeah, doing the research, doing the quick comps. I mean, we know that the consumer is going to be looking on Zillow. So even as an investor,
don't say the Z word.
They will. That's something that we live with, right?
I know.
So you cannot put a curtain there and not look at it because that's what the average consumer is looking at. So when you're looking at it with an investor eyes, yes, doing your quick comps, even a 2-mile radius search, because in Arizona, there are some subdivisions that butt up right next to each other and they're starkly different. You can have a gated community. So there's a lot of things to look out for. I would say definitely try a 2-mile radius search. A lot of appraisers will stick to a 2-mile radius. And look for like properties. You have to be really cognizant about what you're searching for. If you're looking at a home that's 3,000 square feet, you know that there's 2 ACs. You know there's going to be a little bit more involved in that property than a smaller square foot home or something with lots or something with septic. So you want to do some homework and make sure you're looking for like properties. I love RPR. It's one of the quick buttons in real estate to give me a good amount of information, and it's the way that it's formatted is different. So yeah, I do everything that you do there, including the 2-mile radius. So